Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story where OP faces a challenging situation with her niece who refuses to do simple chores and shows disrespect. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Told my niece she's no longer welcomed at my house. My sister Patty has a kid, Ziana, 11-year-old female, and Ziana has been having issues lately with authority figures. Just with anyone telling her to do something or someone telling her no. Ziana stays the weekend at my house with my dad, 50-year-old male, and my daughter, 9. Whenever she stays with me, I have her do 2 chores, brush out the cat and keep the room she's staying in clean. Sometimes I'll ask for her help regarding clearing the table or putting dishes away, but only if I have to hurry for dinner or guests. I've only asked for her help twice, that is. Well, yesterday she told me she will no longer be doing chores here because she's a guest and she shouldn't have to. I told her she's family, not a guest. Yes, she will have to if she's going to continue staying with me on weekends. She said no again, along with go F myself. I told her, okay, but if you're a guest, not family, then I will no longer buy her clothes, makeup, shoes, or anything else. She will no longer be allowed at my house on weekends. Ziana started to cry and ran to the room. My dad asked what had happened, and I told him he agreed with me that just because she does whatever she wants over at her mom's house, she will not do it here. Her mom, Patty, comes over that same day. I tell her, and she just talks about how she doesn't know where Ziana gets that from. My dad tells Patty it's from her. She's mom. You're the main influence on Ziana. Patty denies it. I told Patty she'll not be coming back to my house unless she apologizes and starts to respect an adult. Patty thinks I'm being too harsh on an 11-year-old. Patty, for some unknown reason, treats Ziana like a 15 or 16-year-old, and they both will argue like teenagers. I don't do that with my daughter. She's a kid. When I tell her to go clean her room or do a chore, she does it. It's not up for discussion or negotiation. I also found out from Patty that her grandmother doesn't allow Ziana at her house due to stealing, lying, and sneaking out with boys. I love Ziana, I really do, but she's heading down a bad path. Ziana's mentioned before about wanting to live with me. I can't allow that because of my daughter. She's a great kid, listens, and is a great student/athlete. I will not allow her to be influenced. Edit number 1. A lot of people have brought me up going from 0 to 100 on this one instance. The reason I went that far is because I've talked to Ziana on many occasions about her behavior to other adults and her mom. I told her that the real world is a lot worse. Strangers will not care how you feel. If you don't get your way, the world will not care. The world and people don't owe you anything. Edit number 2. Brushing out the cat Candy was Ziana's choice. She loves Candy. Candy loves being brushed out. I wasn't forcing her. She willingly asked that to be her chore. Update. My dad and I talked. We'd like to do a trial run to see if we can have a more positive influence on Ziana. However, I have a set of rules, boundaries, and things I expect of her if she were to stay here. The list I have is not too much. It's a reasonable list. I know she probably won't like it, but I'm doing this to introduce her to responsibility and structure. She can say no if she wants, that's her choice. I'll still allow her to come over weekends if she says no, but only if she shows respect while staying here and does the 2 chores. You have good reason for not allowing her to be in your house. Sounds like your niece needs some professional help before it gets worse. And our second story. You gave bad customer service for knowing how to do my job from memory? This just happened a few days ago. Compared to other stories, even my own, it's not that bad, but it's still pretty frustrating since it shows the absurd standards people hold their expectations regarding customer service. I work as a mobile representative selling prepay, think TracFone, Total Wireless, etc., and postpay, contracts with most major carriers, in a big box store type location. I'm not an employee of the store I work in. My employer has just been contracted out by the store to do these types of sales, so unlike the people who work around me in the department I'm stationed at, it's quite literally my job to know about phones. However, most people assume I'm part of the store proper, despite the fact that my uniform is completely different to other employees and that my actual company's logo is displayed clearly on my identification card I wear at all times. This is not that important for this story in particular, but it does show that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to what I do. I just started my shift when I had an older woman come up to my desk like she was in a rush. She starts saying how she's with X Carrier on a contract, but through an X Carrier branded store, not the big box. She noticed that we have a better deal on the popular last-gen phone. It's truly a ludicrously low price for the quality of phone, and that she wants to set up another line for it because she's not on an X Carrier contract with the big box store I work out of. I cannot touch their account, and they cannot touch ours. They're completely different, which is why we give better deals on phones. And to get the phone deal through us, she would have to have her entire account transferred over to us before doing anything. And in order to do even that, all of the phones she has on the account, upwards of 4, have to be completely paid off. I'd actually just dealt with a similar case a few days prior, and that was the same procedure we had to go through. At this, she huffs and says that she was in the store 6 months ago. I've only been working there about 2 at this point, and that the person she talked to then said something different. Didn't tell me what the person had said different, just that it was different. From my coworker, I know that 6 months ago, the newly promoted boss of our location was so bad at her job that she would just lie to get sales, so I asked her if it was one of our employees or one of the stores. She says ours and gives a description that sounds similar to how my coworker depicted the old boss. I tell her that either the employee she spoke with gave her the incorrect information, or that in the 6 months since the last quote, the policy had changed, which, while unlikely in this scenario, has actually happened in the past, and that the only way to proceed would be in the way previously described. The woman starts muttering quietly under her breath, says, "Okay," mutters more, then turns to leave. I tell her to have a good day, and she comes back and starts an almost genteel tirade about how she was disappointed in my customer service and that she was going to a different location of the store, not all of which have my company operating in them, because I told her different from what she expected. When I ask for an explanation, she says, "You didn't look anything up," pointing to my terminal where I make contract sales. "You should have at least offered to look it up." Again, similar situation I had mere days ago. The only difference was that case only had 1 phone, whereas she had 4. So I guess knowing protocol by heart and informing customers of them is bad service if you don't look them up. Edit to clarify the protocol I was referring to, since there's been a lot of questions. If a customer comes in saying that they're on a contract with provider X and they want to make a change to their account, new phone line, upgrade, etc., through my company, but their contract is not with my company's branch of provider X, say it's through a retail branded store of provider X or the like, then myself and everyone else at my company cannot touch that account at all. Not even in a "you aren't with us, so we will not do it" way. In a "if I look up your account through our systems, it'll deny me access to making any changes because I'm not authorized to do so" way. The reason is because plans my company sets up for provider X and the plans the offshoot retail locations of provider X has are 2 completely different plans, which is why the prices are often different. Therefore, the only way they can have my company do anything with their account is to change what type of plan it is. Note, the customer won't see any difference in the payments/bills on the phones they already have on their accounts and transfer it over to us so we can set up the new whatever. This is why to even do the transfer, all phones on the account must be paid off so that there's only the service charge to worry about, not monthly phone payments that the other contract set up. I'm not saying that it's good protocol or that it's not frustrating, but that's the way we have to operate. Even if you looked it up, she'd be upset because you didn't just magically know it from memory. And our last story. Neighbor has been siphoning electricity for months. It all started last year when I noticed my electric bill had practically doubled out of nowhere. I live in a small 700 square foot home, and there are only 3 of us living here, so naturally I thought it was just us being careless, leaving lights, the TV, and computers running for too long. Every month when the bill came, I'd remind everyone to be more mindful, but nothing seemed to change. Then, as the weather got colder, the bill nearly tripled, And that's when I realized something wasn't adding up. Getting an electric bill in the mid-$300 range for such a small space just didn't make sense, especially since I knew others in similar homes who were paying no more than $100 a month. So I called the electric company to dispute it. They sent a tech out to check if my usage was really that high, and while the numbers said yes, I knew something was off. The tech suggested a test. Turn off all the electricity at the circuit breaker and see if the meter still runs. I turned off everything, went out to run errands for a few hours, and when I came back, I checked the meter. To my disbelief, the meter was still ticking up. I wasn't using any electricity, but the meter said otherwise. I immediately called my landlord, who came over and looked things over. He noticed something strange with the meter box. My neighbor's meter wasn't even hooked up. Turns out my neighbor had been siphoning electricity from my line. My landlord checked the jumper box, and it was clear that my neighbor had been mooching off my electricity for who knows how long. A call to the electric company confirmed that they'd shut off his electricity back in March 2023 for non-payment. The next step was calling the police. They came by, took pictures, and documented everything. I also started doing the math, comparing my bills from 2023 to 2024. I realized I'd been overpaying by more than $1,200 because of this. To make things worse, my neighbor was out of town for work, and my landlord hadn't been able to get a hold of him. I reached out to the electric company again, hoping for some sort of adjustment or credit, but they were clear. The theft was from me, not from them. I still owe the full amount of my bills, including the recent $350, and I have another one coming soon that's going to be just as bad. It's frustrating, and I'm not sure how I'll afford it. But I've pressed charges against my neighbor because at this point, I just want my money back. After pressing charges, things have started moving in the right direction. The police are now involved, and they're building a case against my neighbor. Update: I got my stolen electricity refunded and can finally leave this mess behind. In the meantime, I secured my meter so it won't happen again. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.